Party. That briefing delivered in response to a report published late last week by the organisation Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA. They claim that a recording between the chair of NSFAS, Dr Ernest Khoza, and a supplier to NSFAS shows what they claim is that Nzimande received money from one of the suppliers and that money went to the South African Communist Party. Well, that's the claim from OUTA. Nzimande, as you've seen, has strongly denied that in his position as Minister of Higher Education. Dr Alex Mashilo is the spokesperson for the South African Communist Party. He joins us now. Dr Mashilo, a good afternoon to you, and I know it's been a busy day for you, so thank you very much indeed for your time. Just to be very clear, what are you saying in response to OUTA? Did you, as the SACP, receive money from NSFAS or any of its suppliers?
No, we never received a cent from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. And in any case, had a decision been made by anyone from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme to give us funds, we would have rejected those funds because the National Student Financial Aid Scheme was not established for party political funding. And I must repeat something that Nzimande has said in his statement, that while all political parties do raise funds, we do as well. But I can tell you, we have never approached any person or entity illegitimately asking for financial support. We are not going to do that now. We are not going to do that at any time in the future. And should any person approach the SACP or any leader of the SACP, to our knowledge, asking to give us financial support in return for favors, that person will face the full weight of the law. We will open a case against that person because that's not how we raise funds as the SACP. You would have noticed, Stephen, when you receive our statements from the SACP, there is a link at the bottom of our statements as part of our signature. That link is a crowdfunding link. And when you open that crowdfunding link, it says to you, please make a clean donation to the SACP. We don't want unclean money.
Okay. You're very clear then that you received no money from NSFAS. Just to be clear, because lawyers are going to look at all of this at some point, I'm sure, I think the claim that OUTA is making is that one of the suppliers to NSFAS would have given you money. In other words, as I understand their claim, is that they would have received the contract from NSFAS because they were giving you money. That's their claim. So just to be clear, you also didn't receive money from anyone who supplied NSFAS.
I can tell you we didn't receive any cent from anyone who supplies the NSFAS in return for a favor from the SACP. We will not do that. We will take action against that person. We don't raise funds in that way as the SACP.
Okay, so you received no money. I'm sorry to be so difficult about this, but you received no money from any supplier. Not to do political favors, you received no money from any supplier to NSFAS, full stop.
Look, if you listen to the recording, because we made time to listen to the recording, there is this other voice that says, look, I donated money to the SACP even without the SACP asking me for money. We don't know whose voice is that one. But as the SACP, when we raise funds, we never raise funds in exchange for any favor in any institution whatsoever. We're not going to do that now, and we're not going to do that in the future. And we do not want any funds donated to the SACP on legitimate grounds, and if those funds are clean, to be criminalized.
Okay, I accept all of that. But I need to I know it sounds like a boring technical point, and it is a boring technical point, but it might be important. I'm not talking about an exchange for political favors. I'm talking about receiving money, full stop, from a supplier to NSFAS. So, just to be clear, it's a yes or no answer, Dr. Mashilo. Did the SACP ever receive money from a supplier to NSFAS?
No, it don't work that way, Stephen. I'm sure you would have seen in the statement by the minister that while he is involved himself, like other party leaders who are raising funds for the party, there is a party rule never to raise funds from any entity or individual in a department that you are leading. You will find that statement in the statement of the minister.
Okay.
So we don't work that way. We raise funds in a legitimate manner, and we raise funds not in exchange of favors. I must emphasize.
Okay, I understand that. So the answer to the question, does the SACP, did it receive money from anyone who supplied NSFAS? The answer to that question is no.
No. We never raise money from anyone who supplies the NSFAS in exchange of paper. That's it.
Just say no, and I'll move on. The answer is no.
No. Remember, I speak for the party here, and I must be as clear as possible. We have never raised money from any service provider of the NSFAS or any entity for that matter in exchange for any favors, and we will not do that.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking. I realize they sound very much the same. What I'm asking is, did you ever receive money from any service provider to NSFAS? I'm not asking did you raise, did you ever receive money?
No, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I sit on the Central Committee and go through financial statements of the party.
Okay.
There was no financial statement of the party that says this service provider is the supplier of the NSFAS and donated this money to the SACP. To that extent, and in that context, the answer is a no.
Okay, I think we're both relieved that we can move on. Thank you. There's another aspect to all of this, and it may sound like a strange aspect, but in the recordings, as I understand it, you say you've listened to them, there's a claim that the person who's working against Minister Nzimande is in fact Buti Manamela, who's the Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, and someone he was the leader of the Young Communist League for a long time. He's a senior leader in your political party in the SACP. Is there a power struggle in the SACP between himself and Nzimande?
I must say, Steve, I know Buti Manamela from our days at college. We served on the same college as RC. When he was the National Secretary of the Young Communist League, in his last term in the middle, I was elected to be the Deputy National Secretary. I was so much surprised by that allegations. To be frank with you, I didn't even want to believe it because it was somebody, just like they said, this person was claiming they funded the SACP. It was just someone making a claim without evidence. To be frank with you, I don't even want to believe that allegation. Buti is a member of the SACP Central Committee, and Nzimande is our national chairperson. I was surprised by that statement. I don't even want to make room to miss it, to believe it, because it was made, in fact, even without evidence.
Okay. You say in your statement this is all about politics, and I accept that an opposition party, one of the opposition parties, has announced action they're taking on all of this today, and there's obviously a political agenda there. That's fine. But this original report comes from OUTA. Now, OUTA says that it fights against corruption. It does not, insofar as I know, support a particular political party or oppose a political party. Everyone will have different views on that. Why do you believe this is all about politics?
Okay, that is what OUTA is saying. There is something said elsewhere, and this by Karl Marx, that in everyday life, we must distinguish what a person says about himself or herself, or what that person wants others to believe about himself or herself, on the one hand, from what that person is doing in practice, in real life activity. Let me tell you, when I was trained in labor law as a shop steward, we were introduced to the principles of law. And as part of the training I received in law is that there is this principle called audi alteram partem. If you conduct an investigation, should a name of another person come out in the process of that investigation, you are required to let that person know, to hear their side of the story. It is called the principle of audi alteram partem, meaning hear the other side before you reach the conclusion. OUTA reached the conclusion without contacting us as the SACP. I will leave it there for you to judge, to distinguish between what they say and what they do in practice. If what they are committed to in practice is fairness, definitely they would have said to the SACP, they know our contact numbers, not because our contact numbers are on the internet, but because they would have been one of the non-governmental organizations we would have appeared together with in the struggle against corruption. Now, when somebody mentions Stephen Flotes, I will make an example of it. When somebody mentions Stephen Flotes in a recording, and I come across that recording, I cannot reach conclusions about you. If what I'm doing is legitimate, I will contact you and say, Stephen, I'm hearing this about you. What is your side of the story? That's how legitimate processes run. So I will leave it to you and to the viewers to conclude whether this is legitimate or not. But in our view, from the standpoint of the law and the principle of fairness, it is unfair to reach a conclusion about one side in a story having not heard fair. Honestly, that's not how things must be done.
Dr. Alex Mashilo, spokesperson for the South African Communist Party. Thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate your time.